Is now the time to get into real estate? Recently, I've been hearing some of my friends and some other people talking about how they want to get involved in this space. They want to buy a property, they want to collect rent, they want to watch that property go up in price. I've also been hearing some people talking about how they want to become real estate agents. And I understand the attraction to real estate. Real estate has performed very well in the past, right? It's been a very good investment. However, I'm seeing some things in the real estate market right now that suggest that maybe now is not the best time to get involved with real estate. So in this video, I'm going to go through what I'm seeing out there in the real estate market. Before we do get into it, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube. Really appreciate your support. I'm also going to put a QR code down below for a Bitcoin tip. So if you want to support the channel, feel free to leave me a little tip. Now let's get into it. So why do people invest in real estate? There are a couple of reasons. A main one is that a lot of people do have this American dream. They want to start a family, they want to buy a home, and they want to make memories in that home, and I get it. Maybe that's not everyone's dream, but that's something that a lot of people want. Another main reason is that real estate has been a good investment because real estate is a good store of value. When we think about real estate, when we think about land, there is a finite amount of it. And in this existing system where we have a fiat money supply that is always going up, we have a dollar supply that's always going up, and we have this finite amount of land, this land goes up in dollar terms, right? As the money supply moves higher. So when we think about store of value assets, there's really three that come to mind. It's real estate, it's gold, and it's Bitcoin. The other great part about real estate is that you get the utility, right? You get the shelter, you can start a business on real estate, or you can do something like grow crops on real estate. So real estate has historically been a great investment. Now, while real estate has been a good investment, I do see some problems with the current real estate market. And the main one is that real estate has just become unaffordable. We've seen real estate really appreciate over the past couple of decades here. And we can actually go ahead and take a look at a little visual here, which shows the median sales price of a home in the United States since around 1970. And as you can see, the median home price has just continued to rise. Now, a big part of that is because the money supply has been rising. And you can really see in this chart around 2020 when we got that big boost in the money supply that we saw real estate really take off. But because real estate is so expensive now, the younger generation really can't afford homes. You don't see a lot of young people starting families and buying homes. And I actually have another visual here which shows the estimated percentage of 30-year-olds who are both married and homeowners. And as you can see, since 1950, this percentage has been dropping. It was around 50% of 30-year-olds. Now in 2025, it's under 20%. And most of my friends aren't married and don't have a home. So this is showing us something, right? It's showing us that life is becoming a little bit too unaffordable. Buying a house is becoming unaffordable. Really starting a family is becoming unaffordable. So this is a big problem that we're seeing with our existing system. And a cool stat that I saw is that over the past 10 years, the median household income has risen 22.6%, while the median home price has risen 88.6%. So as you can see, home prices are appreciating much faster than our incomes. And that's a big problem, right? It's meaning that the middle class and the lower class really just can't afford to buy homes. And really, when we look at a lot of the real estate demand, it's the upper class, right? It's these people who are making a lot of money and who are just using that extra money to buy homes, which is pumping up the market even more. So this has gotten us to a point where homes are just unaffordable. Another thing we're seeing is that mortgage rates are pretty high. They're currently around 6 to 7%. And for young people looking to buy a home, that's a pretty high interest expense to pay. A couple of years ago, we saw that mortgage rates were a lot lower, and people that locked in these mortgage rates at a much lower interest rate made a good investment in a lot of places, right? I'm over here in Oregon, and a lot of people that I know that bought houses around 2020 have seen those houses go up a lot in price, right, with that monetary expansion, and they're really not having to pay much for their mortgage. So they made a great investment. But right now, mortgage rates are pretty high. And unfortunately, I think that mortgage rates are going to stay pretty high because I don't think that inflation is going away. We just started getting rate cuts, and some people think that this is going to lead to lower interest rates across the economy, lower mortgage rates. I think that it's going to lead to more inflation, and because of that, inflation is going to rise, and this is going to actually push interest rates, mortgage rates up. So this is going to be a big problem for people that need to take out a loan to buy a house, right? They don't want to pay that high interest rate, and it's going to keep a lot of people from buying homes. We're also seeing an imbalance in the real estate market right now. We're currently seeing more sellers than buyers, which is not a good sign for real estate holders. If there are more sellers than buyers, then that means that prices have to drop in real terms in order to create a market. Let's go ahead and take a look at a little visual that I believe I saw on X somewhere. And this is showing the growing real estate sellers versus the dropping real estate buyers. And if we continue to see this gap widen, I think that we are going to start seeing this reflected in real estate prices more, right? This is what we talked about already. Real estate is just pretty unaffordable. And I think in order for this younger generation to get more involved and to see a larger volume of this younger generation looking to buy houses, prices need to get to a point where they can afford them. So I think that the markets have a way of balancing over time, rebalancing. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but if we continue to see people looking to sell their homes and people aren't buying, we know that's going to lead to prices dropping. Now, I do think there's a positive with the current state of the real estate market. If we are seeing real estate being overbought, if we're seeing more supply than demand out there, more sellers than buyers, then that means that real estate may drop in real terms, right? Home prices may become more affordable, and that means that the younger generation and all these people that want to buy a home, that want to have the American dream, it means that they may be able to do that at some point in the future. Now, when is this going to happen? I'm not sure. If we continue to see sellers rise and buyers go down, I think that it could happen sooner than later. We will probably see real estate keep going up in dollar terms because the money supply is just going to keep going up. But in real terms, if it falls, it could create a great buying opportunity. The last thing we're going to talk about in this video is Bitcoin's impact on the real estate market. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, we have to bring everything back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's just the center of it all. But let's think about why people invest in real estate for a second. When people have extra money, they need a place to invest it, right? They can't just let that money sit there in dollars because it's going to depreciate and they're going to watch their wealth wither away over time. So people invest in real estate, they'll buy an extra property and rent it out, they'll invest in stocks, they'll invest in gold, they'll invest in Bitcoin. And this makes sense, right? If the money sucks and is depreciating, losing value, then people are going to rotate out of the money and into these other assets. But now that we have a better money in Bitcoin with a finite supply, a money that really gives people a lot of freedom, I think that we are going to see people moving out of these assets and back into the money. And when we think about holding Bitcoin or real estate, Bitcoin is a lot easier to deal with, right? Bitcoin is very portable. You can send it anywhere. It's very liquid. It's easy to buy and sell, unlike real estate. And there's also no maintenance cost with it. There are a lot of risks with real estate, right? The government could take your home. A fire could burn your home. You could get hit with something like a hurricane. So I think that if Bitcoin is outperforming real estate and it's a lot easier to deal with, then people are just going to move into Bitcoin rather than real estate. And I've been seeing that in the Bitcoin space, a lot of people with real estate are actually selling that real estate and buying more Bitcoin. I think that this trend will continue. We'll see a lot of people with extra homes looking to sell it to buy Bitcoin, and we'll see a lot less people using their extra money to buy an extra home. They're going to look at Bitcoin instead. So I actually think that Bitcoin is going to lead to a lot less demand for real estate, and that is going to lead to real estate prices dropping in real terms, and it's going to lead to Bitcoin appreciating even faster. If we look at one last visual here, this shows the total global asset value of the world, and as you can see, it's around $1 quadrillion. And look at that real estate chunk. It makes up $370 trillion of the total value of the world. If we look in that top left corner, you can see a little speck there, and that is Bitcoin sitting at a $2 trillion market cap. And I think that Bitcoin is going to eat into this real estate square a lot. I also think that Bitcoin is going to eat into these other asset classes a lot as well. So Bitcoin is really going to demonetize all assets to some extent, and it's going to be interesting to see what period of time this happens over. But we can definitely count on Bitcoin eating into real estate, and that's going to create some sell pressure there. So we will just see how that plays out over the coming decade here. To wrap it up here, the main issue with the real estate market is that home prices are just simply unaffordable. I think that there is a market imbalance and that the market will rebalance itself over time. One of the things that's going to help the real estate market rebalance is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to lead to less demand for real estate. It's going to push people out of real estate, and this is going to bring home prices down in real terms to a more affordable level, which will be awesome. That's it for this one. If you didn't like and subscribe, please make sure to do that now. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon.